Hey guys, what's going on? Yes, we are live. Everything's connecting. Yes, everything is connecting nice and good. That is what's up. All right, looks like we're waiting on one more outlet. I will let that go. But other than that, I think, yeah, there we go. What's up, y'all? Lee Sanders here. You're checking out an all-new VRCWR show covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Also, happen to be a reporter and columnist for 411mania.com. Happy to be back with you guys once again. Hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. WWE RAW going off the air. Some nice development going into WWE Chamber that's going to be coming up in Saudi Arabia in 3 weeks. And I have the time frame for those of you that were a little bit curious what's going on with that WWE Chamber event, by the way. So look, at this point, we are 3 weeks away from WWE Chamber, as WWE Chamber is going to be coming to us. Let me just jump ahead to February here. It's going to be coming to us on Saturday, February the 19th. Again, Saturday, February the 19th. Make sure you're marking that down on your respective calendars so you all don't forget. As far as the time goes of when that pay-per-view is going to be airing, or that premium live event, got to make sure we get it right, right? Because nowadays it's a premium live event. And we've already talked about that at great length as far as what is a pay-per-view, a live pay-per-view event, and what is a premium live event. If you guys need help clarifying on that, I would be more than happy to dive into it here tonight on the show, or I could just link you all back to a previous episode where we went in great detail about it and all. But the time that WWE Chamber is going to be coming on in the USA, 12 p.m. Eastern. So good God almighty, just imagine if you are on the West Coast. That means your day begins, unfortunately, at 9 in the morning. And heaven forbid if there is some type of a pre-show. If there is a pre-show, and it's an hour-long pre-show at that, then that means, particularly if you're on the West Coast, that's probably going to be 8 in the morning and 11 a.m. on the East Coast. So if you are going to ask me straight up, am I going to be checking out that pay-per-view event? I will, but sadly, I will not be checking it out in real time with you guys, because I'm actually going to be at work during that time. And typically Saturdays, I'm at work until now. You know what? I would not be at work around that time, so I probably would be able to catch the first hour, maybe 2 hours of the event. That's if I even decided I wanted to get up early enough to watch it. Normally, once I'm done with the AEW Rampage, I stay up for an extra couple of hours, catching up on some non-wrestling stuff on the DVR, and then I go on ahead, call it a night. I gotta be honest, I don't see myself getting up extra early just to watch that event. So y'all may just want to go ahead and mark it down on your calendars that I will be doing a post show, but that post show won't be happening until later that evening. So if you happen to be around later that evening and you'd seen the pay-per-view already, you want to get my thoughts on it and everything, just come on back. I'll have a time figured out as far as, I'm thinking probably though, I'm thinking probably 8, 9, or maybe 9:30 on a Saturday night. I don't know if that time would work out for you guys, but when you see the poll get created, but look, let's give WWE a lot of props, because normally when we get these Saudi Arabia shows, we usually get these bad boys during a work day, and some of us are at work or we're at school, and there's just unfortunately no way that we'd be able to. So we're getting there, right? We're getting there. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You gotta do it like that. Hey, what a crazy weekend we had, by the way, as we had those Tom Brady rumors that were running around about his retirement. And I remember when I was at work when all of that was going on, and I just remember saying, okay, well, because some of my coworkers were bringing it to my attention because they know how much of a big fan I am of Brady. And the first thing I said to them was, well, did this officially come from the mouth of Brady, or what? Was it an official statement released from his camp? What are the circumstances about this announcement? And they basically were saying to me, no. It's official. And I doubled down again. I said, okay, you're telling me it's official, but again, did the statement come from Tom Brady, or was it released directly from his camp? And when I probed more, that's when I had found out, no, this was actually something that a reporter had jumped on. And, so you pretty much see all of that craziness that had went down as a result of that crazy news. And I don't know if you guys had checked out the Brady podcast today, because I know Brady does some stuff on Sirius XM on Monday nights, but he did address the whole retirement situation, and he pretty much said he is still weighing his options pretty much from the moment that he got eliminated the weekend prior. He immediately took himself, Giselle, the kids, they pretty much went on a nice little vacation, did a nice little getaway. So he was just enjoying family time and just, okay, football season is now over, and okay, that's a good way to do it, right? It's now over, you're out. All right, go enjoy being with your loved ones. Go enjoy being with your family. And basically, while he was away, all this craziness had started up. But he pretty much said that when he feels he's ready and he's going to make some type of an announcement as far as, is he going to play another season or is he going to be done? All that's up in the air right now. But he said, and I love that he has said this, because I did think that the timing of it was pretty freaking bad and everything. He did feel really bad and apologized for the fact that this premature news that came about had overshadowed some really good games that went down this past weekend. So it was just, I don't know for you guys, but it was refreshing to hear him say that. And now we know who is going to go to this year's Super Bowl. It's going to be the Bengals and the Rams. So that should be, look, if you are a diehard football fan, you just care about really good games, good fair competition, then you're definitely going to be enjoying that for what it's worth. For me personally, I know that there are several NFL teams I have followed for years upon years upon years upon years upon years. And this go round, when I look at the Super Bowl that's upcoming, look, I got to be honest, I haven't seen enough games from both of these respected teams during the regular season. And I'm sure that there are most likely a lot of NFL fans that are in that same boat as I am. So this is one of those cases where, okay, are you really going to tune in and check out this game? Or are you going to really just be turning on the game just so you can check out the commercials and all that? This has to be the one Super Bowl. I don't know how it is for you guys. You could definitely sound off. But this has to be the one Super Bowl where I'm going, you know what, this year, I honestly don't care about the commercials. I honestly don't care about who wins in this one. I have no personal interests. I have nothing personal at stake in this. I really don't care about the halftime show. I mean, that's great for Mary J. Blige, for Eminem, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar. I fuck with all of those cats. But it's not quite enough to make me go, okay, I definitely want to check out the halftime show. So for me, it's one of those, I'm just going to find something else to do during Super Bowl weekend. And that may sound pretty, but I am telling you, there has been a lot of people that have felt the exact same way, even a couple of weeks prior to what went down over the weekend, where we now know who's going to be going into the Super Bowl. there are a lot of people that I actually have been speaking with these past several weeks, total strangers and all, that's been feeling that way. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Now, one thing that I will tell you guys, I don't know how many of you guys have peeped this out, but if you are looking for a really good documentary to check out, and you're definitely into all things rap, hip hop, R&B, I would recommend you check out the Janet Jackson documentary that is on Lifetime. I think that tonight might have been the final night. I'm not really sure because it began on the 28th. And I don't know how many parts there were. I keep thinking maybe it was an 8-part series or something of that nature. Could have been a 6-part series for all I know. I'm not really sure. But I watched the first 2 parts with the wifey last night. And originally it was just, you want to watch the first 30 minutes. You want to maybe just go through the first 30 minutes and let's see what we think about it. Because it was getting kind of late for her because she had to get up for work in the morning. And she said, yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and let's check out the first 30 minutes. And we instantly were hooked on it. And we just ended up burning through the first hour of part 1. And then we went through part 2. And I gotta tell you guys, it was very eye-opening. It really, really was. It was refreshing to hear Janet Jackson in her own words, especially as far as addressing some of the controversies that's going on. But and I'm hoping that before this little mini-series ends, I mean, it's out now. I'm not sure. It's safe to say that the whole series, the mini-series, all the episodes are now out. But just what I'm seeing so far, I really hope that she goes all in as this docu-series develops before my eyes, because during those first 2 parts, I gotta say, I don't know how it was for you guys that did see it, let me know, but there was definitely some resistance on some topics, like Joe Jackson. So notorious about Joe Jackson as far as the way he would discipline all the Jackson kids growing up. And then you combine that with what you had saw of him that was portrayed in unauthorized biopics, unauthorized biographies, things of that nature. And you could tell that Janet was trying to do her very best to choose her words carefully, and how she was describing her dad and what it was like being in the same household with him as far as discipline and all of that. I just felt that she was being a bit resistant in some areas, that, okay, you're trying to be an open book, but you're not quite at that position where you're truly, fully are going all in and you're leaving it all out there. You're leaving no stone unturned. This is your story. I'm sure you most likely had a hand in the editing and what's going to follow up with this scene. What are we going to splice in right here to the type of music that's being used? I'm sure she had a hand in all of that, much like with the Last Dance documentary covering Michael Jordan, and how Jordan had a hand in every single tiny little thing that was going on in it and everything. But it's good. It's off to a good start. Just a couple of areas making me kind of go. But check that out when you guys get a chance. Definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. Sorry, y'all, but we don't just go full throttle into the talk of wrestling. But when we do, and we do it pretty big when we do it. But this is how the show works. You know, we pretty much just bounce all over the place. We don't just say covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. I mean, we pretty much have been doing that just like this, just the way we've been doing it now. We've been doing it this way since 2011. It'd be real easy to just come on here and just go, Raw eliminated tonight from Cincinnati, Ohio, and this person won, and this person won, and oh, this had happened, and oh, we got another Sonic commercial break, and yeah, and that's it. That's the end of the show. It'd be very easy to just do a show just like that. God, that would be so fucking boring, wouldn't it? Seriously, that would be so fucking boring. I told Wifey the fun thing that had happened over the weekend with the Royal Rumble post show. By the way, appreciate you guys that had went out of your way and checked out that Royal Rumble post show. Apologies for our audio listeners. I was just taking a sip of some water, and it was fun doing that. Now, in an update, you may have noticed, if you've been poking your head on our YouTube channel, you may have noticed that our Royal Rumble live watch along, it's no longer available. I can still see it, I can still access it, but we lost the copyright battle to the WWE. So for the first time that our channel has been in existence, WWE has come at us with a couple of copyrights in the past, and we have won every single one of those copyrights they brought forth towards us. I know, right? A little small mom and pa channel, right? Why would they even? But if for those of you that had missed it, you didn't check out what had went down. Basically, when we were doing the live watch along, WWE's whole thing was, even though we weren't showing anything visually, the fact that you could hear the audio. Even though we were talking over the audio, we were providing original commentary over what we were seeing, giving play-by-play. I was interacting with you guys in the chat. We were bouncing off of each other and all that. Just the fact that their audio from the pay-per-view was playing on our stream, that was enough grounds. And so, unfortunately, we did not win that battle. So, the only country that is able to see our live watch along for Royal Rumble right now is India. United States, everybody else. So if you were to literally, depending on where you reside, unless in India, you're good. But any other country that you're in, if you were to try to go on our channel and look for that Royal Rumble watch along, no longer there. No longer there. It's no longer visible. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I can make it available. Don't have to worry about the WWE, and you guys will be able to see it and all that. Will I do another watch along in the near future? Yeah, I can see myself doing it, but it was nice to pretty much learn the hard way of what we can and can't do, and trying to make sure we don't have any copyright, DCMA issues and everything. Going forward, unfortunately, if we were to do another live watch along, I would definitely just, maybe with an earpiece, have the show streaming on the phone or whatever. That way nobody can hear it, and I can pretty much just react that way, right? And I think that's pretty much, I don't think we would have any issues if we were to do it like that, so as long as the microphone wouldn't be able to pick it up and all of that. But do appreciate you guys that had checked out that live watch along. I had a lot of fun doing the post show. I'm glad now in retrospect I did the post show, because originally we were not going to do a post show because we did a live watch along. But I'm glad that we did the post show, and I appreciate you guys that have represented and you had checked that out. And looking at the polling results now, just one last time, just to gauge you guys and put that final bookmark in there on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view event, we polled you guys on Twitter and polled you guys on YouTube community section at youtube.com/the RCWR show. And here's what you guys had said about the Royal Rumble via Twitter. Your options: thumbs up, thumbs down, worst Royal Rumble, man. Coming in at 4.2% thumbs up, at 41.7% worst Royal Rumble, man. And overwhelmingly at 54.2%. You guys top dog there with thumbs down for Royal Rumble. Meanwhile, looking over on YouTube, and you can see the community poll over there, youtube.com/the RCWR show. If you guys haven't voted yet and you want to make sure that your voice is heard, pick either poll. Pick the one that you feel best represents you, and you can go in that way. I appreciate those of you that try to sound off and say, I'm in the middle. I appreciate that, but the polling votes are as it is. Okay? Just because you don't see a joint in the middle, no, it's either thumbs up, it's thumbs down. That's it. Simple as that. It is as simple as that. If I wanted for there to be a middle of the road option, I would put it in there. I would put it in there. But I wanted to keep it as simplistic as possible. A hard yay, nay. YouTube, 25% of you said thumbs up. Great show from top to bottom. 75% of you, however, said thumbs down. Show sucked. Worst Rumble ever. So, look, couple of days to process the Royal Rumble. I still stand behind a lot, practically everything that I had said about that pay-per-view on Saturday night, or actually Sunday morning, because by the time we did the post show, it was Sunday morning, so early Sunday morning. So I still stand behind a lot of what I had said about that pay-per-view. Oh my God, but did you see some of the stuff that had came about in regards to the Rumble? Look, when it's all said and done, we've got the talk out there about, oh, well, you know, Asuka is supposed to appear, or well, Paige is supposed to appear, or this person is supposed to appear. Finn Balor, well, you know, what about, I didn't really see anything about Finn Balor. Everybody was just plucking all of these names. All of these names. I didn't see anybody mention Finn Balor. Man, great. If you mentioned it, that's great for you. But I just mean social media in general. I did not see anybody saying Finn Balor to return in the Rumble. And what you all had experienced going into the Rumble was nothing more than the greatest spectacle of the guessing game by a lot of so-called wrestling websites, so-called wrestling journalists, that were just throwing any and everything on the fucking wall, hoping that it would stick so that their guesses looked as though it was validated, right? See, we told you over here first that according to our sources, what sources, actually no sources whatsoever, they're just guessing. That's basically it. And, you know, it's one thing if you've got shows like mine where we're saying, okay, what would be cool if we could have it our way? And if we could see certain people return at a Royal Rumble. Okay, well, I'm picturing this. Oh man, it'd be pretty badass if you had this person come in. There's what you want, but what most likely is going to happen. What's the WWE way? Okay? And that's how I've always looked at all of these pay-per-views from WWE and other promotions, but particularly in regards to WWE. That's why I've always said to you guys for years, when it comes to the Royal Rumble, for me personally, to each its own, but when it comes to the Royal Rumble, I don't like to try to guess what's going to possibly go down. I don't want to try to take a crack at who is possibly going to be returning and all of that. What I want to just focus on is the stories that's going to be playing out before our very eyes. I want to focus on the wrestling, and I want to experience any and all surprises that are in store in real time so that I can just give my reactions in real time, you know, and that was the beautiful thing for what it was worth. That was the beautiful thing when it came to that Royal Rumble live watch along. You were seeing my reactions, good, bad, or indifferent. You were seeing my reactions in real time to everything that was playing out for the men's, for everything, but particularly when you home in on the men's and the women's Rumbles and everything. And, you know, you could definitely make an argument that we've seen better Rumbles well executed in the previous years, to the point you see some of the news that's going about right now where apparently Shane McMahon, I got to use the quotations there, but Shane McMahon has apparently been catching a lot of heat because apparently he was the one that was in charge of the men's Royal Rumble. And the reason why that he's catching a lot of heat right now, this is clickbait at its finest, by the way. I got to tell you guys that right now, and we're going to burst that bubble right now. I'm not going to even mention the site that had put this bullshit propaganda out there. I'll let you guys try to figure that out. But we had a website put out there that there were a lot of people furiously angry at Shane McMahon over the way that he had booked the Royal Rumble and how he booked himself to be in a position where he was dominant, where he was trying to make the Royal Rumble be about him. And so anybody that actually had watched the Royal Rumble, you're going, well, wait a minute, not for nothing, but I kind of call bullshit on that one because, yeah. Now, for some of you that haven't quite been able to connect the dots just yet, let me just walk you down memory lane real quick, okay? I'm going to give you guys a nice little refresher right now. Let's talk Royal Rumble for a second, right? And I'll give you guys the report. Here's the report that actually, let's back up a second. Here's the report that's floating around right now. Again, you guys will connect the dots. You figure out what website I'm talking about that's spreading this bullshit. But this website had said that there is a substantial amount of heat on Shane McMahon after his role as lead writer and producer of the men's Royal Rumble match. Now, basically, it was the whole talk of WWE. And supposedly, someone that's very connected in WWE had said that Shane McMahon openly buried Jamie Noble and he tried to book the Rumble around himself. Furthermore, McMahon was confrontational and he was gung-ho to put himself over, even fighting with people to do so. Y'all with me so far? Another individual had commented on the situation saying when Shane is more impactful in the Rumble than Big E or Owens, even people who don't normally complain are complaining loudly today. When asked why Shane McMahon was made lead writer and producer of the men's Royal Rumble match, we were told his father obviously made a mistake. Okay? Okay? Now, with this report, my God, you are under the impression there that maybe Shane McMahon had freaking went into this Royal Rumble and he was just eliminating all your personal favorites left and freaking right, man, that he was just having a goddamn field day or some shit like that, right? But does anybody remember what number entry Shane McMahon came out? I already know the answer, but I'm just curious if any of you that's watching live right now, if any of you remember the number that Shane McMahon came in. I'll do you one even better. How many eliminations did Shane McMahon have before he was eliminated? I'll do you one better than that. What was the total time that Shane McMahon was involved in the Royal Rumble match? Feel free to answer that. I can buy you guys. If you don't know, don't look it up. Only answer it if you, hey, I remember this. Yeah, Lee, it was blah, blah, blah. Go ahead. You can put the answer in the chat. But I don't want you to look it up. Okay? It's a rhetorical question, but if you want to answer the question, go ahead and answer it, right? But for those that did not watch the Royal Rumble, and you hear this report that I just mentioned, you're going, wow, well, goddamn, Shane McMahon must have booked himself to be a goddamn motherfucking Bill Goldberg or something, and he's just 24-0 in the Rumble. Who's next? Yeah! Okay? And in actuality, Shane McMahon was the 28th entrant in the Royal Rumble. He eliminated Kevin Owens. I said it during the live watch along, and I believe I may have reiterated the points again during the post show, which was, you know what, the past history between Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, that nice little nod there. Okay, you know what? I'm totally down for that. I'm all right with that. I got no problem with that whatsoever. That was the only elimination that Shane McMahon had got in the Royal Rumble. His one and only elimination. He would get eliminated by Brock Lesnar with Shane McMahon. And Shane McMahon lasted only 5 minutes and change total from the time he came out, as far as his whole participation in the Rumble. He only lasted 5 minutes and change. I don't know about you guys, but that's not really much of any type of a impact. I don't really look at that as somebody trying to book themselves over someone I don't really. So what's this really about? I'll tell you what this is really about. This is somebody that has their own respected agenda. And in this case, the agenda is, goddamn, I can't stand Shane McMahon. I don't like this motherfucker. And this was kind of their way of trying to throw shade at McMahon, trying to create something that honestly is not there. Have you already seen the reports that's floating around about how low morale in regards to the Royal Rumble? All the talents that supposedly were involved in the Rumble, that there was low morale. And basically we got this narrative that's being spun that there was a significant amount of low morale for this Rumble because, Triple H wasn't involved. Triple H wasn't involved and Tyson Kidd wasn't involved. You got another report that's floating out there talking about how in previous years, Triple H has been in some type of an advisory role when it comes to these Royal Rumble matches particularly, and that normally he gives some pretty good insight. He tries to think about the smaller things in these Rumble matches and tries to utilize the cards as best as he can with talents. And basically because you don't have that Triple H input, the way these reports are floating around, I don't know who originally had started this. You could probably take a really good guess, do a nice little Bing Google search. You could probably figure it out who started this up. And then Tyson Kidd has been gone for a couple of weeks. There's no telling what's going on with him. As far as personal stuff that's going on, there's no telling what's going on with him, but he wasn't involved. David Finlay, Fit Finlay, was said to had a hand in trying to help out. So, I mean, look, Triple H is still recovering from his heart procedure. There's a lot of folks, Nick Khan included, that cannot wait to see Triple H come on back and, pick up the mantle and go again. But, he is still out. But, yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with a lot of the stuff that you see that's floating around there because it's sad, but it's true. I know it from personal experience with certain individuals I've worked with that call themselves wrestling journalists, writers, and all of that. There are certain people that have their own respected agenda and what they're trying to spin about on certain companies and all that. If there's an individual particularly that they don't like, they make it be their life's mission to figure out any and all type of ways to throw that person under the bus or any type of negative publicity that they can spin. You just got to be careful. Always question any and everything that you... And I tell you what, when I read the stuff about Tyson Kidd, it was really refreshing to see a decent amount of people say, well, wait a minute, man. Tyson Kidd is pretty outspoken on social media. He's always interacting with the fan base. Has anybody even tried asking Tyson Kidd on social media about these reports and if there's any legitimacy to them and all that? Because, usually he tackles BS crap like this. So, of course, that remains to be seen right now. To my knowledge, he hasn't responded to any of that stuff that's been put out there just yet. But hey, you got to be careful. But yeah, the Royal Rumble, for what it was worth, I think we could all be in agreement. We've seen some better Royal Rumbles. But that's a thing of the past. Tonight's Raw was all about the foundation that they were setting up for WWE Chamber coming up in about 3 weeks. If you see me moving around right now, I'm just trying to have a nice little timestamp going on so I know what all we had pretty much talked about, as now we're going to be talking about tonight's WWE RAW. They laid out a really nice, good foundation setting up the WWE Chamber. in a couple of weeks. I like how they pretty much had began things with the new WWE Champion and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley now a two-time WWE Champion. Bobby Lashley, an MVP, coming out there to get in the face of Adam Pearce, objecting over the fact that Lashley, the newly crowned WWE Champion, now has to defend his championship at WWE Chamber. Talk about some serious odds that's stacked against this man. It's not just a case where Bobby Lashley has to defend his championship at WWE Chamber, Elimination Chamber, but it's actually going to be defended in an Elimination Chamber, in the match itself with the pods and all that. I mean, that is just, you're going, man, way to try to hold the man down there. But it gets worse. It gets worse for Bobby because Brock Lesnar comes out, and Brock Lesnar is looking to have his rematch against Bobby Lashley, because even though he won the Royal Rumble, he's not mad at Bobby. He still refers to Bobby Lashley as Bobby, who he feels in his heart of hearts Bobby did not beat him straight up for the WWE Championship, but that he doesn't have Bobby Lashley at fault for beating him. He doesn't have any animosity towards him. His beef is with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, which he will be seeing at WrestleMania, because he laid that out tonight, did Brock Lesnar. He laid out the fact that he will be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But Bobby Lashley does have a role on that road to WrestleMania, which was, when you really take a step back and you look at everything that played out tonight, we've got some interesting layers that are unraveling here on this road to WrestleMania. And some of these new wrinkles that we're getting really makes you stop and say, man, this route that we're going on, just how much of this has always been intact? You know, was this always the game plan, or just the idea? This new idea just came about so suddenly in recent weeks, and now we're pretty much kind of getting behind it and everything. But to the point, you got Brock Lesnar saying to Bobby Lashley, the way that Lashley is involved is the fact that Lashley has that WWE Championship, and Brock, wants to defeat Lashley for that championship to go on to WrestleMania to face Roman in a title versus title matchup. So, not for nothing, this has been teased once before, a champion versus champion in Roman and Brock. This has been teased once before. And if you were to pick my brain, if you want to ask me straight up, where do I stand on a champion versus champion match? I'm okay with a champion versus champion match. I'm okay with that. I don't see this being a situation, though, where, okay, we're just gonna winner takes all, and that is it. That is it. You are never going to see a second World Heavyweight Champion running around in WWE again. I don't see that happening. I honestly see a scenario come about where maybe someone is running around with both of those titles for 2, maybe 3 months, and then after that, they lose one of those titles to a new contender. They go on and hold the other one for a little bit. I can definitely see something along those lines happening. But as far as, no, permanently, this is it. We're not going to do another secondary championship. Well, you know, that's it. We're not going to resurrect some previous world championship belt. No, this is pretty much, I'm not seeing it going down in such a way where only one champion, and that one champion is pretty much gonna, I'm not seeing that. I don't know how you guys are seeing it, but I'm not seeing that. Look, as I mentioned several times over the course of the past several weeks, WWE in regards to Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, I told you guys, and it was kind of funny because some of you guys during the watch along in the post show, you all were saying, oh, Roman and Brock, WWE is now going back on Roman versus Brock at WrestleMania. And, you know, you can tell who's been really listening to what I've been saying on the shows and who is just more interested in hearing themselves and what they're thinking. Okay. And I have been saying to you guys, even when you all have brought some of the questions up, I've been saying to you guys, yo, WWE is just taking the scenic route with Roman and Brock. It may look like we've gone off course, but make no mistake about it. You know, along the way to the supermarket, okay, you're doing all this other little stuff. You're doing all these little errands. But the main gist of you being out and about is to go to the grocery store. But you're doing all these little errands in between, right? You're hitting all these other little destinations on your way to the grocery store. Okay? That's how I look at Brock and Roman at Mania. They were doing all these other WWE that is. They're doing all these other little pit stops, right? Just bobbing and weaving and going down these other little paths. But I always felt, and I've been saying it for months now, no, everything is all about Roman, Brock. They never left this. They never abandoned it. If anything, you had a couple of things go down as far as, didn't see that coming. For example, Roman, COVID protocol, didn't see that coming. WWE had to pull some type of an audible there. They had to do something there. I don't know how much truth lies in the original outcome for the Rumble. You guys see that stuff that's floating around there? Supposedly it looks as though Big E never was Big E even brought up, which just, wow. But instead Riddle, I don't know if you guys have saw that one. Riddle was at many points the guy slated to win the Rumble. That would have been pretty damn interesting. Honestly, I thought things were going to play out in a way where we go to Chamber and Brock was going to somehow become a number one contender, take on Roman. But it seems that WWE really likes this idea on champion versus champion. And I got to tell you, I'm down with that. I'm down with that with this current storyline that they're doing right now. I'm pretty high on the idea. So this episode of Raw that we got was just solely dedicated to setting up a lot of the matches that we're going to be seeing play out at Elimination Chamber. As Brock Lesnar, he was fixing for a fight. He came out there looking for a fight. Lashley wanted to throw it down, but MVP talked him down. So now, courtesy of Adam Pearce and them, Brock Lesnar, one of the first guys to be announced that's going to be in Elimination Chamber. So that's slot number one that's taken up. And we saw a couple of more slots. Actually, we saw all the spots get taken up tonight during tonight's Raw here. So let's go through the rest of the card here for WWE Raw, as I'm just trying to, bear with me a second here. Pretty decent show too. It's actually a pretty decent show that they did tonight. Of course, the main headline, Ronda Rousey back on Monday Night Raw. So decent matches too, by the way. Decent matches. Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was actually for what it was worth. It was actually a pretty decent match. I was a little bit surprised that we went through, how many commercial breaks was that? I think that match went through at least 2 commercial breaks alone in that one, if not one. I would say, yeah, I'm thinking probably about maybe, if not 1 commercial break, 2 at most. Those girls had went at it a little bit over 8 minutes long. And I'll give credit where credit is due, which is, and by the way, I do see what you guys are saying in the chat. It's just all about finding the right time to comment on what you all are saying, you know, feed off of what you all are saying and everything. I would have to say between Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley. This was one of their best interactions to date. This was one of their best as far as synergy, chemistry goes and everything. This was one of their best outings yet that they've had. But can we move along already? That's just my whole thing. Can we move along already? Of course, round 2 of the academic challenge was underway here tonight, where we had Chad Gable with his academy helmet, full bodysuit and all that. This man looked like he was just primed up, ready for the freaking Winter Olympics already. He looked like he was ready to do some serious skiing, man. You got Riddle, who's got his Hey Randy shirt on, and he's acting as if Randy Orton. I love whenever Randy Orton is not there. You swear Matt Riddle acts as though Randy Orton is in heaven or something, because every time Randy Orton is not there, I just want to dedicate this win to my man Randy. He's just pointing up at the heavens and shit. He's almost doing Randy like Tupac or some shit like that. I love it though. It's freaking hilarious. So this go round, they were doing their their scooter race challenge, where they pretty much had to do 50 laps of the arena and cross the finish line at the ringside to win and everything. I like the nice little cameos. We saw them making their laps. I like the cameo that we got of Dana Brooke with her 24/7 championship, as Tamina just pretty much runs into her and tries to beat the crap out of her real quick. Wow, just one person, just one lone person was waiting for Dana Brooke there. Well, it's some type of an improvement. I'm still really surprised that nothing had played out at the Royal Rumble involving that 24/7 championship. I'm still very surprised at that. Anyway, it is what it is, though. So we could keep talking about that little spot too, by the way, as far as that little race that they were doing. Eventually, a little bit later on in the night, we go to, I always forget the name of that guy with the British accent, the European accent. I don't, KP, I think is his initials, KP. But he was with R-Truth. They're over there about a checkered flag and everything. And it looks as though Matt Riddle is going to possibly win this, as he's kind of going neck to neck there, riding the scooter with Chad Gable. Chad falls at some point as he's trying to go around the ring to get to that finish line. Riddle is trying to do his best to capitalize. Otis just pretty much comes out of nowhere like a Mack truck and just boom. I mean, he just knocks Riddle flat on his ass. And that pretty much had set up Chad Gable to not only recover, but also get on the rebound, get on his scooter, and pretty much get to the finish line. 1, 2, 3. I mean, that pretty much was it right there. So Riddle, afterwards, wasn't really feeling how all of that went down. He actually had accused Chad Gable of cheating. And this pretty much was your instant Acme feud here, where Chad Gable told Riddle straight up, okay, you calling me a cheat? Seriously, you calling me a cheater? Hey, I got a 4.0 grade point average. I got this, I got that. I'm really feeling how Chad Gable has been dialing this up as far as really letting his heel persona really kick in there. What he's been laying down these past couple of months, it's honestly some of his best work the entire time that he's been involved in the WWE. He is really, I said this once before, but I'll say it again. I've said it off and on, but I'll really say it again. He is really coming off like vintage Kurt Angle. Vintage Kurt Angle when he had the whole hair and he had the stupid little hat and the little guitar. Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care. Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care. He's really got that whole early Kurt Angle vibe going on. Even kind of looks like him a little bit too, if you really kind of stop and think about it. And yeah, he's really putting in some of his best work, and I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine as far as if in the WWE universe, if he can maybe reach to the heights of ultimately becoming a World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, I think he should. I think he should. I don't know if McMahon is kind of seeing the same things that we're seeing, but man, he's got all the capabilities in the world, and just his mic game alone. I mean, he has leaps and bounds of tremendous improvement. Add on top of that some really great matches that he's been having as of late. Anytime you get Randy Orton involved, for example, Gable has really been rising to the occasion. So we did not get Gable and Matt Riddle going at it. Instead, it was Otis taking on Riddle. And after we come back from a commercial break, we get a cameo appearance from Adam Pearce, who reveals that, hey, we need to figure out who's going to get a spot in the Elimination Chamber coming up a few weeks. So this match is a qualifier. So with that in mind, Riddle, Otis going one-on-one with that spot up for grabs. Riddle coming out of that. I like the whole big man versus, see, I can't really say little man, because Matt Riddle is not a little man by any stretch, you know. This really was a case of brawn meets, I don't know, brawn meets weed. Right? I don't know what you want to call it here, man, but in the almost 10 minutes that these guys were working together here, man, Otis was just, I love how he was booked in this. He was going in here and just pretty much squashing any type of momentum that Riddle seemed to be building up here. And, you know, I would have loved this even more if frickin' Chad Gable was the one that was in this and he would have won it. But at least now you have the narrative that you can spin, which is, well, the reason why Matt Riddle ultimately won is because Otis still doesn't quite have all the necessary tools and keys to success to be as good as a successor as Chad Gable. And that if it actually would have been Chad Gable in that match, Chad Gable would have won and everything, right? So, but no, that was actually, of all the matches that was on tonight, I definitely would give the nod to Riddle taking on Otis. That actually was pretty fun to see. Thinking about some of the other stuff that had came about from tonight's Raw, the Miz Dominic Mysterio, for what that was worth. I mean, my God, that was just, why were we even given this? Is my whole question. Why were we even given this? This was just a waste of freaking. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. This was just a freaking waste of. Was this even 90 seconds? I don't even think this was a 90-second match, but yeah, Miz just pretty much went into this and squashed the hell out of Dominic. That's all this was. Pretty much a big old epic squash match. Kevin Owens had a great segment with Seth freaking Rollins. Rollins was still pretty salty over what had happened at the Royal Rumble in his match there with Roman Reigns. And he did say, look, I know for a fact. So see, this follows up on what I had talked about over the weekend with shows, which is Roman Reigns, just Seth Rollins got real estate in Roman Reigns' head. And I like the fact that Seth Rollins had addressed that in his segment on the KO show tonight, because he basically said, now that I know that I've got real estate in Roman's head, at a later date, me and him will definitely lock up and everything. So I like that there's that nod, and now you're kind of going, okay, so eventually we will. Could it maybe come as soon as Chamber though? Man could dream, right? Man could dream. But in the meantime, he was there to make an announcement that pretty much based off his performance at the Royal Rumble, he is going to be involved in the Elimination Chamber matches. He's got a spot in there. Owens was happy for Seth, but a little bit salty over the fact that Seth did not have to qualify for a match, and yet Owens has to qualify for it by winning a match, right? He's got to be in a qualifying match, and Rollins gets a pass. So he wasn't really feeling that. So he actually tried to con Seth Rollins to team up with him, and the two of them go talk to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville and say Owens should get in automatically or else Seth Rollins will walk. And Seth really wasn't feeling that. Next thing you know, time for our next matchup. Austin Theory, Kevin Owens. Hell of a match. It actually was a hell of a good match. Austin Theory picking up the dub. Great match. It actually was a great match. Owens did a really good job here in putting Austin Theory over. And then Theory delivered everything that Theory was supposed to, do at his end. I mean, he did it and then some. Damn good. This Austin Theory guy, I'm loving it. This Vince McMahon experiment with Austin Theory, it's coming along. I'm really liking where we're going with this. Seriously, I'm really, really liking where we're going with this. See, from there, Dolph Ziggler had a match against Angelo Dawkins. About 4 minutes and change if you were lucky. I was happy that Angelo Dawkins had picked up the win. I mean, that is good bragging rights after all. You got to win over a former multi-time tag team champion. You got to win over a multiple-time Intercontinental, United States, World Heavyweight Champion and everything. But really doesn't quite do anything for me. It really doesn't. Now, see, maybe I wouldn't feel the way I'm feeling right now if it actually would have been Montez Ford in this position, considering how every time I have brought up Street Profits, I've said to you guys religiously, hey, man, Montez Ford, that is your next singles breakout star. He's the fucking man. Bank on it without a doubt. So, but yeah, this did nothing for me whatsoever. Let's see. We already talked about Matt Riddle and Otis. Bianca Belair took on Carmella. This was weird because I just couldn't fathom the idea why this match went as long as it did, because this one went about 5, 6, maybe 7 minutes, give or take. And I just couldn't help but wonder, why are we going this long with this match? If ever there was a time where you're going, nah, man, we should pretty much just be, and we're out. Bianca should have had this wrapped up in about 2 minutes. Seriously. This should have been wrapped up in about 2 minutes. By the way, are you guys keeping track at home on the title defenses that Carmella and Zelina have had with those tag titles? Remember, they won those tag titles back in November of last year, and they've only done 4 title defenses so far. It might feel like it's really been an eternity, but it kind of hasn't been. The last time they defended the tag titles was on January 3rd of this year, believe it or not. So, but yes, grand total so far, since they got the titles in November, they have had 4 tag title defenses since they won them off Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley. And this is the type of crap that I'm talking about in regards to WWE. This is the type of crap that I'm talking about, in regards to, okay, we got these girls in this position where they got these tag titles, but what are we really freaking doing as far as building up this respected tag division? You feel where I'm coming from? What are we really doing to help these girls out, to really help properly build up this tag team division, to really build up this tag championship division and everything? What are we really doing here? And this is just, honestly, sadly, just a case of, no, we're just going to take these tag titles and we're just going to here you go, just run with it. I'm not going to do anything else. No, you just run with it, right? It just comes off so blatantly, we don't really know what to do. They're just holding on to these bad boys. And I'm just not feeling that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just not feeling that whatsoever. But this whole tag experiment with these girls, it's really going nowhere. It is really going nowhere. Want to take this time out. Thanks those of you that are tuning in right now. If you guys have been enjoying yourselves so far, if you haven't done so already, make sure you smash that like button. Shout out if you're checking this out via YouTube. You know, when you hit that like button, you really help do your part and helping make content like this reach a more wider audience. So do that, and thanks. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe button as well. And you guys may be noticing I'm kind of off to the side a little bit here, not really looking directly at the camera right now. What I'm trying to do, if you guys will indulge me for a quick second, I want to go on ahead and activate subscriber only mode for now. And that's what I'm doing right now. And the reason why, I've noticed the past 2 shows, we have gotten some bullshit fucking spam. It's these cryptic, and I tell you guys all the time, when you see that stuff, don't freaking click on the link. Don't do any of that. But there's these, let me see if I can actually pull it up for you guys. Like, there's these weird VUR.FYI, weird posts. And basically, it's a virus. It's a nasty virus that's just, I did my research on it. So, when you see little weird stuff like that posted in the chats, you want to do your very best to not click on those bad boys. But that's why, as of right now, we have subscriber only mode that's activated. So I appreciate our lurkers that's out there, because we usually have folks that they're not subscribed, and but anybody that wants to try to comment from here on now, you gotta subscribe to the channel and all that. So hopefully you already are, but if you're not subscribed, you really should subscribe, man. We always have a nice, good, fun time over here. All right, so where are we here? We just got done talking about Carmella, right? And Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair picking up the dub there, and whoopee-doo. But yeah, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, those boys went at it for about maybe 12 minutes, give or take, maybe a little more than that. This actually was pretty damn good. It was a fun match. Definitely had some pretty solid moments in there. This was a qualifying match too for the Elimination Chamber. It's interesting because sometimes when I look back on some of the Rey Mysterio matches, there are times where I feel Rey is just phoning it in. He's just there to be there. Yeah, he'll dial up the hits, but he's just winging it. And then there's nights like tonight where, no, it seems like Ray is actually kind of feeling it here. It feels as though Ray is actually getting in that zone. And I kind of got that a little bit here in this one. And it was pretty good what they were doing with each other here. AJ Styles picking up the win. AJ's advancing. So at this point, the full card here for Elimination Chamber, this is how it's looking here. Bear with me a second here, y'all. So this is how Elimination Chamber is looking for the WWE Championship that is held by Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley will be defending against Brock Lesnar, Seth freaking Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles. Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. So that should be pretty damn badass. I'm actually looking forward to that. I know a lot of people were wondering, and we're still not quite out of the woods just yet, but I know a lot of people were hearing the news about, WWE, Saudi Arabia, WWE Chamber. Okay, so is it even remotely possible that WWE would do something with the women in a Elimination Chamber? I don't know about that. As far as this year goes, I would be shocked to see something of that magnitude. It's one thing if maybe you're going to have there be some type of a elimination style match, but the women are not going to be going in pods. It'd be one thing if maybe you were to do something along those lines. I could see something like that. But as far as doing a elimination chamber match with the full pods, and I'm just not seeing that go down. I don't think that's something that, at least at this juncture, that the Saudi prince would be interested in entertaining, at least not right now. Could something of that magnitude maybe happen next year or 2024? For sure, I would be pretty stunned, and I've made some pretty bold predictions in the past, and you all have reminded me how bullseye accurate I've been in the past. And remember, when it came to the women's wrestling, remember the prediction that I had made and how accurate, bullseye accurate I was on my, when you can expect to see women wrestle and everything in Saudi Arabia. So I would say that within the next 2 years, for sure, look for the women to do something as far as a elimination chamber style match. I definitely would say look out for something of that to go down. I'd be shocked if by 2025 we still haven't. I really, really would. That would be me personally. Good water. That would be me personally. I'd be shocked at that. But so Ronda Rousey coming out. Ronda being the winner of the Royal Rumble for the women. She's got a decision to make. What's going on here? Who is she going to be challenging at WrestleMania for their respected championship? Not for nothing, but you also got the NXT Women's Championship at play as well. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be nice just so we can give a nod to NXT 2.0? Yeah, it's like that. Can we give a nod to NXT? How badass would it be? Just imagine you're watching NXT this Tuesday night, and you're watching Mandy Rose, and she's doing her little blah blah. Oh my God, I'm so hot. Look at me. This title is badass around my waist. And the next thing you know, you just hear that, don't give a damn about my reputation. You got Ronda Rousey that just comes out there. And you go, oh shit, Ronda Rousey. Wow, she's actually, could she? I mean, man, I miss when Edge had won the Royal Rumble. Wasn't that pretty badass? Remember that? When Edge won the Royal Rumble, and now he was just bouncing between all the shows. He even appeared on NXT. Remember that? We had that nice good stare down between him and fucking Karrion Kross and all that. Remember that? I was pretty fucking badass and everything. And man, wouldn't that be nice? You tune into NXT this Tuesday, but the way they just made it come off tonight, pretty much it's either going to be a Raw Women's Championship or a SmackDown Women's Championship. That's the way that it came off tonight. But anyway, Becky Lynch came out, and she reminded me of a evil character from Alice in Wonderland. She had this weird, and I guess maybe that was the look that she was gunning for, honestly, but she reminded me of a Queen of Diamonds. Like the actual card itself. She looked as if she was one of the queens from a deck of cards there. And I'm going, yeah, that's fucking badass. If that's the look that she was going for, that's pretty fucking badass. But Becky Lynch came out there and was talking up a really good hot game as Becky Lynch pretty much had said, look, you're out here, you're spitting some jibber jabber nonsense here, but look, we need to know what's going on here with you, because you want to try to figure out who you're going to take on at WrestleMania. Well, you're going to lose some serious credibility here when you're trying to figure out who you're going to be facing for the championship. I mean, I'm pretty much where you want to be at. I'm the main event, unless you want to go for those, second helpings there in Charlotte Flair, right? So, you want some real meat and potatoes? Are you going to go get you a nice little appetizer, basically, okay? So Ronda Rousey pretty much does this nice little arm drag takedown of Becky, and she grabs the microphone from Becky's hand and pretty much says to her, I'll have my decision on Friday. So she'll know. Becky Lynch will know on Friday what the decision is. So Becky wasn't really feeling what was going on there. She was pretty shocked at what went down. But then the next thing you know, before Becky could fully recover from what all had went down, Lita's music just came from out of nowhere. You're going, what the fuck is going on here? Seriously, what the fuck is going on here? So Lita comes out, and Lita talks about how rude it was, what went down with that encounter there with Ronda, and what exactly is Ronda's problem, and Ronda was so rude, and Becky agrees. Lita talks about how, that's no way to treat somebody that's a GOAT, such as Becky. So you already see this game a mile away of what Lita is doing to Becky Lynch. She's goading her in, basically. She is literally just stringing her along and everything, to the point that after Lita butters her up real good. I mean, you know how you're just at Cracker Barrel or Red Lobster, and you just got them biscuits, and you just got to get that knife in that butter. You just not quite. Got to butter it up a little bit more there, baby. And Lita says that one of the things that she's always respected about Becky is that Becky is a fighting champion and never backs down from a challenge. And Becky's going, yep, that's me. Hey there, what exactly is the point of you being out here anyway? Where are you getting at here? Now, Lita, to Lita's point, wants a shot at Becky's championship at Elimination Chamber. Becky says no initially. Lita comes right back and says, she knows it's a lot of work, and, it's such a short turnaround too and everything. And that if Becky is afraid, she totally understands. Just say so. Becky says she's not, and if she wants it, she's got it. Lita walks away, thanking Becky, looking very happy. Becky kind of realizing, shit, I just got goaded in there. And that pretty much was the end of the show. So to the question that was asked earlier by Imperial saying, Becky, Lita, Mania? I don't know about all of that. I think we'll have a better idea once we get to Friday Night SmackDown. I think we'll have a much better idea once we get to... Look, honestly, if you wanted to pick my brain straight up, I feel as though that the real money is in Becky and Ronda Rousey. I feel that's where the real money is. Sure, you could definitely do Ronda and Charlotte, but then you also got to think about, okay, so what this would mean ultimately for SmackDown, right? So I'm sure Fox would love to have access to Ronda Rousey. I'm sure they would just be in hog freaking heaven having Ronda Rousey, right? And you got to find that right balance. That's where it gets a little bit tricky here. You got to have that right balance. You can't put yourself, if you're WWE, you can't put yourself in a position where, okay, we pretty much got all the people that look like legitimately they can go and kick some mega fucking ass. You can't have all of those guys flocking to the Raw brand. You got to have some of that level of star power also be on SmackDown as well. Thus, a large part why Roman has continued to hang on to that championship for so long and everything. So, you know, and then let's not also forget that now that we know what what Brock Lesnar's agenda is for Roman, it's safe to say that I wouldn't be surprised if as early as SmackDown this Friday, if Brock were to appear and continues to just stick it in there between Roman and Paul Heyman. I would not be surprised if he just keeps needling them in, just keeps picking on them and everything, going on the road to WrestleMania and everything. But, you know, if you were to pick my brain, I really like the idea more of, because see, the question becomes, okay, so if you do decide you want to do Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania, then what exactly are you going to do with Charlotte? Well, you could do Charlotte and Lita for what it was worth. You did tease it, you know, quite a little bit. Or a direction that you could go, depending on where she is with her recovery status and all that. If she's almost at 100%, or will definitely be at 100% by the time WrestleMania comes around, you could do Sasha Banks, or you could go the Bayley route with Charlotte Flair. You do have options over there. I'm just not sure if going Ronda, Charlotte, I'm just not sure. I think it would be a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. I think that would be a damn good matchup. But I almost feel as though Becky, Ronda, yeah, and there is already some history there too, right? I mean, there's history between all three of those girls, honestly. But yeah, I'm just me personally. I'm just talking about my personal preference, right? But as far as Becky, Lita at Mania, no, I'm not seeing that go down. Confusion about, is Bobby a face or is he a heel? He's giving off both. Honestly, taking into consideration what had played out tonight, I wouldn't lose sleep over that. I wouldn't be spending too much time thinking about that. I mean, if you want to maybe go a tweener route, you could essentially go a tweener route right now. I'll tell you this, the fact that Brock Lesnar was out there trying to challenge Bobby to a match one-on-one, Bobby was down, but MVP is pretty much, nah, man, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not fighting for free, basically. I mean, you can make an argument that Bobby Lashley, to Brock Lesnar's point, are you a chicken shit champion, right? Or you chicken shit, to his point, right? So, I mean, Lashley did give off some heel-like tendencies there. I would say for the time being, Bobby is a little bit of a tweener until you see otherwise. Bobby does some type of a despicable, heinous act where you go, okay, I just got to see this man lose the championship. Fuck that. This guy's a bad guy as far as I'm concerned. Or, you know, I'm like this. I don't know about you guys, but to each its own. For me personally, I'm not spending all that time thinking about, is he a face or is he a tweener? I'll tell you what he is to me right now. He's a two-time WWE champion. Not a lot of black WWE superstars that you can say, oh shit, a two-time WWE champion. I'm just kicking back. I hate to make it be about race, but you know what, man? Moments like, especially when the right guy comes along, I see all this bullshit narrative stuff that's being put out there. Oh, it took WWE X amount of decades to blah, 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 crown a black champion. Da, 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 da. And I just can't help but go, do you realize that the amount of families that Vince McMahon has worked with over the decades, Vince McMahon knows no fucking color barrier, for God's sake. Look at how many times Bruno Sammartino, an Italian, Pedro Morales, a Mexican, right? Just to name it, look at these guys and how long they were champions and everything. Sadly, anytime we had somebody of color that, okay, you know what, maybe something will happen right here. I'll tell you the one, if there was one guy that I'm a little bit surprised, and I don't know, maybe Jim Cornette is a mind that could maybe speak on this a little bit better, or I'm trying to think who else. But at this point, I say Jim Cornette because he's got a really great encyclopedia of a mind and everything that was going on during certain decades. He could tell you more vividly than I could, even with the research that I would be able to do. But, I'm a little bit curious why a guy like Rocky Johnson, I always felt that Rocky Johnson should have been that guy, that he should have been a WWF World Heavyweight Champion, and why it never came to be. It's just kind of one of those, what the hell happened there? Tony Atlas is another one I look at and I go, what happened? What happened there with Tony Atlas, right? I thought for sure when Farouk had jumped ship from WCW, I thought for sure that maybe, but for whatever respected reason, but Rocky Johnson for sure, I'm like, man, you had the right guy, right time, right place, and for whatever respected reason, was it because of what was already going on with the current landscape of stars that were already established during that time, and there was just no way that Rocky could slide into that position, or what right there, right? A little segue, little something to think about. But I'm loving the fact that Bobby Lashley, 2-time WWE champion. I just want to enjoy that honeymoon for what it's worth right now. To each its own, but I just want to enjoy that for what it's worth. So pretty decent Raw for this week, honestly. They really put a lot of emphasis on the structure for Elimination Chamber. Had some pretty quality wrestling showcased on this episode. Definitely got to give that nod there to Owens and Theory. Really had a pretty good matchup there. Seriously though, did anybody really think that Kevin Owens, Saudi Arabia, did anybody really think Kevin Owens was going to Saudi Arabia? I was just saying there. Lita challenging Becky. Pretty good stuff right there. Yeah. Pretty good show. Pretty good show for this week, man. Pretty good show for this week. All right, so that's the talk of WWE Raw. And I'm just poking my head in the chat, seeing what's going on with some of you guys here, making sure I'm still up to date, current on most of the stuff here. And it seems we're doing pretty good so far. Did you hear the news? Ring of Honor. They have announced who is their first inductees into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. So it's going to be a class for 2022 that's going to be going in. So there's going to be more names that's going to be released in the coming weeks. The way they're going to be doing it right now is they're going to be making the announcements every Monday. And there's going to be some type of a nice little video package. And I would imagine probably on their YouTube channel, they'll do some type of a highlight compilation, best of, something along those lines. But the Briscoes, yes, the Briscoes were the first announcements for inductees into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame class of 2022. They put out a really nice press release for it and everything. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Totally. I'm totally okay with that, because when you think about Ring of Honor, the Briscoes definitely are, I won't say the first that comes to your mind, but they're definitely among the first. They are definitely among the first. If you were to just take your 10 fingers and you're going, okay, my first Ring of Honor Hall of Fame class for the year 2022, yeah, you're definitely, they're on one of those fingers for sure. They are definitely on one of those fingers. So pretty well deserved, I personally feel. And I can't wait to hear the other names that's going to be making up this Hall of Fame class. You ask me straight up, for this first one, God, that's a tricky one, man. For this first Hall of Fame class, I would love to see CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. I would love to see them go in there for sure. Definitely. I would love to see them go in there. God damn, how much of a delay do you guys have tonight? I see a comment about Bobo Brazil never got recognized as a world champion. Did I get done talking about that? Like, and I'm not throwing shade, but Mike, I'm just trying to figure out what is the delay that you guys are experiencing, or if some of you guys are maybe pausing and you're resuming after you go do whatever. Because last I checked at my back end, I only have a live delay of about 20 seconds. So, and I'm literally watching the YouTube chat in real time. So, yeah, that's kind of, but, yeah, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe definitely comes to my mind. Homicide is another one. Nigel McGuinness. Yeah, those are the ones that come into my mind right now. What about Rob Feinstein? I mean, not for nothing, but there would not be a Ring of Honor without Rob Feinstein. Rob Feinstein, I apologize, Rob Feinstein. So do you give a nod there to Rob Feinstein? I mean, if you're going to do a first ever Ring of Honor Hall of Fame class, I would like to believe, well, shit, you got to put Rob in there, yeah? So, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But if it were up to me, like if I could just right now, my Hall of Fame class for 2022, my Hall of Fame class would definitely, I would put the Briscoes in there, sure. I would have the Briscoes in there. I would have Rob Feinstein. I would put CM Punk. I would put Bryan Danielson. Nigel McGuinness. You know, because my whole thing is how many slots are we talking about here that we would need to fill up for the Hall of Fame class? That's what I'm kind of wondering about here. But if I had to, let's just say 5. Let's just say it had to center around 5, right? With the Briscoes already being announced, then I would go Bryan Danielson as the marquee. He would pretty much be the main attraction. Homicide. Rob Feinstein. My 5th, that'd be a tough one, man. That would be a tough one. My 5th, I probably low key, hands down, low key. I would put low key in there. That would be my top 5. That would be my initial class. And then the next year, I would definitely put CM Punk in there, and then I would pretty much just go from there. So, but congrats to the Briscoes. Happy to hear that they were the first to be announced there. Did you hear the news about X-Pac? Why it didn't happen at the Royal Rumble? I know Royal Rumble rumors were circulating about X-Pac as far as him possibly being in the Rumble there. But yeah, no, we see that didn't happen. However, X-Pac is set to be making his return to GCW for the Welcome to Heartbreak event. Remember, he had appeared at the World on GCW event, he made a save in there for Joey Janela. And now at this upcoming GCW Welcome to Heartbreak event, he's going to be teaming up with Joey Janela to take on Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. That show is going to be going down on Friday, February 28th. Remember, X-Pac Sean Waltman has been talking about how he's been getting back in shape, and I don't know how many of you guys have seen the recent photos of him, but he is in the best freaking shape of his whole life right now. I mean, he's got natural muscles upon muscles and abs. I mean, he looks fucking phenomenal, and he's been teasing for some months prior that he feels he still has one last good run in him and everything. And it's just so amazing that, okay, so wow, you see everything that's been going on with this man, and yet WWE isn't trying to do anything with X-Pac Sean Waltman. What the hell? So he's good enough to be on the front cover of WWE 2K. And don't give me that bullshit about, well, 2K, you know WWE's got some input as far and final say so on who they want, be on their front covers, all that bullshit. So the fact that, we got the whole NWO shit, like, come on. But no, rather than him make a return to WWE, he is going to be making his in-ring return to GCW. Now, for those of you that are maybe curious, oh man, you're gonna watch it? No, no, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. And we're talking, that's a Friday too. That's Friday, February 28th. No, during that week, I will actually be, because wifey has been wanting to take a much needed vacation, because we haven't done anything since the Jericho cruise. That was actually our last vacation. So she actually wants for us to get away that final week of February and do a little something. So and I'm looking forward to it. I just got to figure out what dates I'm going to be taking off. So I'm actually going to be in a non-wrestling mode that whole week. So I will rely on you guys to enlighten me when I come back from vacation and tell me how that pretty much had went down and if it was good and everything. Following up on, it all follows up on what I had talked about a couple of weeks ago when I did watch the World on GCW event, and I told you guys some of my thoughts on it and everything. And I said to you guys, that is something I would not be checking out on a consistent basis. If they were to be doing something every week, if they were to be doing the pay-per-view every single month, I think for the pay-per-views just alone, it would depend on the card. And if I really was feeling that card, that's what it would come down to for me. If I was really, really feeling that card. I can't believe we almost forgot. They did do some more of that Alexa Bliss, Lily Dow therapy session bullshit. They did a little bit more regurgitating of that shit from Raw tonight. Veer is still coming. Somebody have him get in contact with Doug Flutie and the black dude and get some of that pill shit already so he can just come already, because that is some serious erectile dysfunction that my man Veer Mahan is having. By the way, Veer Mahan did do a dark match earlier tonight on main events. I forgot who he defeated, but he did have a match. But as far as him coming to Raw, yeah, he's still coming on that one, baby. He's still coming on that one. TV, AEW Dark. I did see the card for AEW Dark Elevation. I wanted to show you guys some love for that card for this week. Let me see if I can actually pull it up for you guys. And while I'm pulling that up, I want to give you guys an honorable mention. There is one of my guilty pleasures is AEW. One of my guilty pleasures is Forensic Files. I fucking love Forensic Files. And there was one episode that I wasn't even aware of. I thought I saw every single episode known to man of Forensic Files. But there actually was one episode turns out I never saw before in my entire life. And this episode is titled, it's from the 7th season, episode 1, at least that's how it's floating around on social media. But for whatever respected reason, when you try to find it online to watch, or you try to maybe go to Tubi TV, or you go to, I'm trying to think where else, or HLN, because I know you can pretty much watch Forensic Files on demand through HLN. They don't have this episode. They actually skip over and something else pretty much takes its place as that 7th season episode 1 opener. But this one is called The Cheater. And this episode, I gotta say, it's definitely in my top 10 favorite episodes of Forensic Files. My number 1 has to be the Magic Bullet, just to understand the trajectory of this bullet. Okay, so if you've never seen the Forensic Files episode on the Magic Bullet, let me just give it to you in a nutshell here. Father wakes up on a weekend and he loves going to the shooting range, particularly with his son. So on this particular day, this Saturday morning, he goes to his son and he says to him, "Hey, I'm going to be going to the shooting range. You want to tag along or you want to sleep in?" And the son goes, No. I want to sleep. I want to go in. I want to actually go in with you. So they go. The dad is, I think, one of the judges or something of that nature. And his son is doing a little bit of stuff, helping out. And in between, he's sitting down and, he's just watching the shooting go on, playing out before his eyes while he's got headphones on, protecting his ears and all that. Next thing you know, 2 women, they're screaming their asses off. The father, he races to see what's going on. He finds his son on the ground. The son was sitting in the chair, and now the son just pretty much slumped over on his side, like, what the hell's going on here? So the son's hat, he grabs his son's hat, and a little tiny bullet hole pretty much went through the hat. And now he's looking at his son's head. He sees the temple of his son's head and a bullet, little small hole, right? So the bullet, pretty much. And for the next 30 minutes of this Forensic Files episode, you learn how this bullet went through this. You want to talk about the crappiest fucking odds of luck. It goes through this weird trajectory bullshit where it hits this and then it goes down here and then it comes out of here and it goes over there. But once it goes over there, it goes through this. And then when it goes through this, it comes out and makes its way over there. You just would have to just seen the graphics for this when they pretty much did a reenactment of this bullet, this magic bullet, and the trajectory of it and everything. One of the top episodes of Forensic Files. But this episode I came across, it's called The Cheater. And it talks about this one-hit wonder singer, a doo-wop singer from back in the day. I don't know how many of you guys, you like the old school doo-wop music, Motown music and all that, but there was a guy by the name of Walter Scott. Walter Scott was his name. He was the lead singer for a band, Bob Cuban and the N Men. And the way the song goes, watch out for the cheater. He'll take your woman when you're not around. Watch out for the cheater. So you just look the song up, and as soon as you hear it, you'll probably be saying to yourself, if you're a fan of, Motown, doo-wop music and all that, you'll go, yeah, I remember that song. And that was just, I've never seen that episode before, and I thought I saw all the episodes of Forensic Files, but that was one I don't know, maybe for licensing, royalty reasons or whatever. I don't know what the case may be, but that episode is, you can actually find it on YouTube. Believe it or not, you can find that episode for free on YouTube. No ad breaks. It's 20 minutes. You're pretty much in and out. You'll thank me later. If you like little fun, trivial stuff like that, check it out. By the way, Raw was in Cincinnati, Ohio tonight, and I was paying very close attention. I liked hearing the nods for Super Bowl and everything. But yo, I didn't forget about the AEW Dark Elevation results. I actually have the results. We'll talk about that in a hot minute. But I'm definitely going to give some love where love needs to be given right now. As I was watching WWE RAW tonight, I was hoping that with the whole mentions of Cincinnati and Super Bowl and all this other stuff, I was hoping that we were gonna get at one point, baby, if you ever wonder whatever became of me. I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP. And for very good reason, because Howard Hessman, Dr. Johnny Fever himself, passed away over the weekend at the age of 81. And basically, he died as a result of complications from colon surgery that he had received. And you're just like, poor fucking dude, what the hell? And I had said on Twitter, and I just left it at that on Twitter. I could have said a lot more. If anything, I followed up with a video that was that showed a scene from one of my favorite moments of the Dr. Johnny Fever character, and it had involved Gordon Jump, who was the boss on WKRP. It was during that first season when Gordon Jump his character was trying to figure out how to reinvigorate WKRP, and he had brought in a new guy to help steer him in the right direction on what was going to be happening with the radio station and all that. And Johnny Fever was playing some Pink Floyd, and Gordon Jump came in there, and Fever was acting as if he was asleep, and he really wasn't. Like, you wouldn't know because he had the shades on, but he's so slunched back in his seat and all that, you're thinking he's knocked out. And that was actually one of my favorite freaking scenes in that. Another one definitely has to do with when Dr. Johnny Fever had went away, and when he came back, he was listening to some guy that had replaced him. And the compensation, if I remember right, the compensation that this guy was being given was drugs. So he was pretty amped up. I mean, he was high as a kite while he was on the air. This is so funny as shit, man. But I thought for sure we were going to get some type of a nod to Howard Hessman, and we didn't. And Howard Hessman, for me, such a great, underrated character actor. Very underrated. Great range as an actor. There was a lot of realism that you always picked up with any character that he had portrayed. And you want to talk about a guy that did a phenomenal job, whether you wanted to talk politics, whatever was going on in the world, he definitely was pretty, he knew his shit. But whether you wanted to talk WKRP in Cincinnati, and when I was born, WKRP in Cincinnati was actually, because WKRP, what was that, like 4 seasons, I think? I think it went from 78 to 82. So by the time I was born in the 80s, it was actually still on. The new WKRP in Cincinnati, I didn't care for it. I thought it was straight up fucking garbage. But I tolerated it mainly because Howard Hessman came back. He came back for about 9 episodes, and it was fun just, all right, Dr. Johnny Fever is back. Yeah, and I'm so happy and shit. And I remember when he did Head of the Class. I loved him on Head of the Class. That show alone back in the day gave us our first proper introduction in the late 80s into the early 90s to Robin Givens. Long before she had hooked up with Mike Tyson and all that, okay? And that was a really good show. I didn't get into it overnight. It definitely took me a few episodes as a kid to really get into. But I loved it. I loved it. And I was mad when he left head of the class. I didn't find out until I was in my teenage years, what exactly happened. And I remember that final season, they had that comedian Billy. Remember that? Billy, I can't think of his last name right now, but he came in, and, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. I was happy when that freaking series had ended. I remember when they tried to do a spin-off from it, just focusing primarily on Billy and his immediate family and all that, and that miserably failed out of the gate. It only lasted one season. I don't even think they were able to do a full order season. I think it pretty much was done after about 11 or 12 episodes, But or you want to talk about One Day at a Time. Howard Hessman was on that series as well. Remember, he was the captain on Police Academy 2. So the wide range, man. The dude he was always doing stuff. He was involved in some popular hit TV shows. I mean, my God, where do you want to talk? Man, I'm thinking TV show wise, whether you want to talk about Burke's Law, The Practice, Crossing Jordan, Boston Legal, CSI, Mike and Molly, Chicago Med. I mean, the guy, he stayed being involved. And I'm going to tell you something for the very first time. And while I'm going on and on and on and on and on about this, over the years, I have always been asked, what does the RCWR show stand for? And I always give a bullshit answer. A bullshit answer. And I've always said that the day I reveal what the RCWR show stands for is the day that pretty much that's going to be the last show, and I've pretty much let it be known I'm getting out of the podcasting game. So I'm still not at the point where I can tell you what the RCWR show stands for. But the Dr. Johnny Fever character portrayed by Howard Hessman had such a profound impact on my life growing up that I remember saying as a kid, man, what he's doing is so fucking fun. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to kick back, and I want to be able to be some type of a disc jockey. I want to be able to play records and talk to people on the phone and do some really cool, crazy ass contests and all of that shit. Because when I grew up, a lot of times when I would have to go to bed and I really wasn't ready to go to bed, FM radio was my biggest friend. When I couldn't have the TV on at night, especially school night, or even if it wasn't school night, it was just summer, and I always had to have that routine of being in bed at a particular time. I would always sleep with the radio on, and there were certain radio disc jockeys that I had always found myself gravitating towards that just, man, what a great fucking voice, and the pronunciations and the execution, the way they introduced these tracks. Casey Kasem, Wolfman Jack, Jack Diamond, Mad Dog, Copeland, no, not Copeland, Mad Dog, Toni, because we actually used to have him on DC 101 at one point. Howard Stern, when he was on FM radio long before he went to Sirius XM. I had my favorites. I had my personal favorites. And I just remember the Dr. Johnny Fever character. That was one of the first radio disc jockey characters that I remember coming across that just made me say, yo, this is definitely, I want to do that. That seems like a lot of fun. So much so that when I went to high school, I could have easily went and tried to major for, I was trying to major in fine arts. That's what I went to my special high school for, was for fine arts. But there was actually, a year there where I said, nah, man, radio is what I want to do. This fine arts shit, that's what my parents and everybody else, what they've wanted me to do. I actually want to do the radio. And for a time there, I actually had changed majors. And I was trying to get into radio. And radio did not last that long because I realized that the teachers that were supposed to be doing their thing, they had this favoritism towards certain students. I wasn't able to get in that necessary one-on-one I would have liked from the teacher. And it was just, okay, all right, fuck this. But I always was somehow connected to radio. Even when I was doing stuff for my junior high school newspapers, I always still had some type of a connection to radio. So I know, trust me when I say that the RCWR show, this podcast that you're checking out right now, you know, part of the influence, part of what got me where I am right now today is because of the beautiful job that Howard Hessman did as Dr. Johnny Fever, right? His influence, you know, and all of those other influences, but definitely he was the catapult. He was the one that pretty much got the ball rolling and everything. So trust me when I say that, wow, you know, I take that one kind of personal, his passing. Yeah, I'm not going to say devastated or anything, but on a personal level, yeah, definitely. So rest in peace, Howard Hessman. AEW Dark. Hopefully you appreciate that. You know, because I know over the years, people, you know, what does the RCWR show stand for? And even though I haven't, you know, really given you an answer to that question, at least you kind of know now part of the origin of what ultimately, you know, here and everything. So AEW Dark Elevation for this week. Here is your card. Lance Archer takes on Chase Oliver. Brandy Rhodes, meanwhile, faces Kylan King. Jay Lethal goes up against Casey Carrington. Anna Jay takes on Nikki Victory. Matt Sydal, Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty faces the Factory's QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Comoroto. Meanwhile, Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho team up to take on Megan Myers and Jocelyn Navarro, which reminds me, Thunder Rosa has a new video up on her YouTube channel. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of it, and there's a whole lot of booty action that's going on with that one. So go show some love. I definitely am going to show some love on there. Penta El Zero Miedo faces Serpentico. And that is pretty much it for this week's AEW Dark Elevation. That is the whole card. So feel free to check that out when you guys get an opportunity. Also, I will be back on Tuesday night with you guys. We will be talking NWA Fallout. I'll get into the card for NWA Fallout in just a hot little bit. It's a pretty solid ass card too, by the way. Pretty good solid card from what I'm seeing. I see the TV ratings for all the shows from this past week are in. Last week's WWE RAW did about 1,766,000. So that's a plus gain. That's pretty good. Plus 9.2%. NXT went up as well, not by much, as last week's show did 593,000. They improved by about 1+1%, not too shabby. AEW Dynamite went up. They found themselves in the 1 million plus viewership range yet again. They went up by about 6.6%. AEW Rampage went up as well. This past Friday's AEW Rampage did 601,000. They went up by 1.2%. SmackDown, the final SmackDown Go Home show for the Royal Rumble, that did 2,217,000. That is actually down from the previous week, down by about 1.7%. But probably what's been the most telling tale of all of the TV shows that's out there is actually Impact Wrestling. And look, even though I don't talk about Impact Wrestling as religiously as I used to, I still love to give that nod and praise when praise is due and everything. And look, Impact Wrestling for I don't know how many consecutive weeks now, but if it's not 6, 7, or 8 weeks, it's somewhere in that range. But their viewership has continued to increase. Remember how I told you, hey, that show, they can barely crack 100,000. They have continued to go up and up and up and up and up. And this past Thursday's Impact Wrestling from January 20th did 182,000 viewers, up a whopping 44%. That's up by 44%. And they've just been the trajectory these past several weeks. Now, I don't know about you guys, but as far as I'm concerned, with what, and you can't convince me otherwise, just the fact that Mickie James, the current Impact Knockouts Women's Champion, was announced for her participation in the WWE Royal Rumble, that did more good for Impact Wrestling, honestly, than the whole stupid ass AEW Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call that, whatever that experiment was. Just the rub off that WWE was able to do there with Impact. I mean, you're seeing the effects of it, and I can't wait to see what happens with this coming Thursday's Impact. And I have a feeling the numbers are going to go up, maybe not by a whole lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers had went up a little more as a result of that nice little collaboration there, that WWE did more good press for what little was done on their end. They did more good for Impact Wrestling than what was going on there with AEW and Impact as far as I'm concerned. So I like seeing that. I try to do my best to be well balanced out. When I see that, what do I always tell you guys? When I see that there's a lot of good that's going on, I try to give that love. I try to show that nod. It's not always about, constructive criticism and all that. When there's some shit that's actually going right, I try to make sure I show that love and everything. But yeah, Impact Wrestling's ratings, they are seriously on a freaking rebound, a continuous rebound. Because, I mean, when you really break down what they've been doing these past several weeks, Impact is pretty much, their ratings and all that is pretty much up a whopping like 100 and, I don't know if it's 120, 130%, something like that, for all these consecutive weeks that they've just been continuing to grow their audience. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I wish more people would talk about that, because that's a pretty good thing that's going on with them. It's a pretty damn good thing. And if they're able to continue to build on this momentum, man, just think about the fact that they're still on Access TV. And when they get ready to bring back, I know they're doing the encore vintage episodes right now of New Japan Pro Wrestling, but when they get ready to start showing new episodes on Access TV, I mean, that's going to be pretty damn good. That's going to be pretty damn good. Let's see. Other than that, I see that a lot of people were being dicks towards Kelly Kelly. I know I brought it up on the show, and I said something along the lines of, I couldn't believe that was Kelly Kelly. She looks so different since last I had saw of her. I remember jokingly saying to you guys, are we sure that's Kelly Kelly? What the heck? I barely recognized her and everything. And at least you could say that I was very polite in the choice of words that I was using. But sadly, there were a lot of people on social media that were using unflattering things to say about Kelly Kelly. A lot of surgery gone wrong and all kinds of other shit that was being said about her. A lot of unflattering kind things were being said about Kelly Kelly, and it's unfortunate. I know there was one person that she had responded to specifically where she said, look, I haven't done anything with the WWE in almost 10 years. So I've pretty much, if you haven't been keeping tabs on me through social media and everything, then you haven't seen me in about 10 years. And no, contrary to what you're putting out there, no, I haven't done any type of facial reconstruction surgery. I haven't done no Botox, any of that whatsoever. Matter of fact, I'm not going to mention the Twitter user's name. Their account's probably gone now or whatever, but this is what the person that said initially. They say, kids, this is a perfect example of plastic surgery gone wrong. There was nothing wrong with her before, and she was absolutely gorgeous, and surgery has made her completely unrecognizable. Be happy with what you were given. So she responded to that post, and she said, and I quote, literally, I was 25 when I retired. It's been 10 years. No surgery once whatsoever. It's called being a woman, which obviously you don't know nothing about. Let's do a 10-year challenge on you and see what you look like before and after, sir. And look, not everybody, to the point that she's making, you know, you'd be surprised. Not everybody is going to look the same, you know, unless you're really on top of your dieting, your exercising, you know, you're limiting your alcohol consumption and all that, fatty foods, things of that nature. Not everybody is going to look exactly the same, right? I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. You could pull up maybe one of the first live web shows from 10 years ago from my show. And, you know, yeah, you'll definitely be able to recognize me off the break. You'll know me off the break. Doesn't matter if clean shaven or just pushing a goatee or, you know, hair or no hair. You're going to recognize me off the break. You'll be able to do a comparison. You'll be able to say, okay, looking at this from 10 years ago to now, okay, he's picked up a little bit more weight, but I still recognize him. Whatever he's doing, I still recognize him regardless, right? Even if he's put on a little bit of weight, I still recognize the guy when I see him. Unfortunately, it all depends on the genes. It all depends on the genetics. Not everybody is as blessed. Where, you know, wow, it's only been 10 years and okay, I still recognize you. You still actually look the same. I still recognize your face. For Kelly and to say that she didn't get any type of, that's pretty good. But I get where some people were, like I said, I said it myself on the show. Are we sure that was Kelly Kelly? I think at one point I said, sure that wasn't Lana? It's like, damn, you know, barely recognized her there. I don't know if it was maybe the hairstyle that was kind of doing it, her choice of makeup. I don't know if it was maybe a combination of those things. And then not for nothing, but she was a real skinny little thing when we saw her in her 20s during her real proper run in WWE, as opposed to this one-off type of deal. So I'm glad she, you know, set the record straight there and really put that fan, if you even want to call them that, in their place and everything. And I know some people, even at that, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, she said that she hasn't had any work done, but not really sure, you know. And then others, she don't look bad, you know, but it looks pretty obvious that something was kind of done to her face. Some people just feel what they feel. Look, they're entitled to their opinion. She's entitled to rebuttal. She's stating the facts, whether you want to believe it or not. You know, the only thing I can say to that is, well, why does she have to respond to somebody that she's never going to see, right? Never going to come across, why even waste the time or energy to respond and set the record straight? Just keep it moving along. Hey, shout out to Shotzi Blackheart. You guys that are Shotzi Blackheart fans, you may want to send her some serious love her way, because she had suffered a loss in her family. I think it was maybe over the weekend. She had revealed that her father passed away. And she revealed it in an Instagram post. And go check out what she had to say. It was rather, short, but very sweet and everything. So definitely I want to send my thoughts and condolences to her and her friends and family on that one. But yeah, hit her up on those social media pages, and whether you're a fan or not, I'm sure just hey, just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Heard about your father's passing. Hey, nothing but love. I'm sure she would definitely appreciate that. Like they always say, you only get one set of parents, and if you're even fortunate enough, and afterwards, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So, yeah, I'm sure she definitely would appreciate that, though. Other than that, just see if there's anything else we can get into before we get ready to wrap it up here for tonight. Honestly, a lot of the other stuff that we could talk about, we could talk about on Wednesday's show, from what I'm seeing here, because a lot of it is AEW related type of stuff. I will share this with you guys, though. I've been keeping tabs what's been going on with Wrestlecon, because Wrestlecon is going to be going down WrestleMania weekend. Well, Toni Storm has been announced for Wrestlecon. She was announced. She is being sponsored in part by Glamour Under the Stars. And I got to double check, but that name sounds very familiar. I think that might have been the company behind AJ Lee's joint that she did a couple of months ago that we had talked about with the ridiculous pricing and all of that other shit. I gotta go back and check that out. But yeah, she recently was announced. She was actually announced. I think she was announced. She wasn't announced. I think she was announced over the weekend. Actually, I believe she was announced over the weekend. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys posted on all the other names. I could go over the names right now, but it's a pretty long list. I'd rather wait till we get a little bit closer to WrestleMania weekend before we dive into all of that. All right. And then other than that, I told you guys that NWA Power for this week, they got a pretty good stacked up card, looking pretty bona fide good too, by the way. This is the card for NWA Power this week. We got the NWA World Heavyweight Championship that's going to be on the line on this week's NWA Power, as Trevor Murdoch defends against Mike Knox. We also have a no DQ match where Saul Renaro takes on the Masked Scion. Dirty Sexy Boys, Dirty Dango and JTG will be in action against Ill Begotten. And a podium spotlight match. Actually, no, not a match. Just they're going to be at the podium. That would be interesting, though. Podium spotlight match. No. Natalia Markova, Paula Blaze, and Genocide. Looks like Kiera Hogan is going to have a heart-to-heart segment with Mae Valentine. I'm sure that's going to be emphasizing more on Camille and Kiera Hogan's match for the Burke in a couple of weeks. So pretty good episode of Power that's going to be coming up. I'll be on Tuesday night covering fallout from that episode. We'll also go over what all came about from this weekend's NWA USA. So check that out. And then don't forget, Wednesday, I'll be with you guys once again. We'll be doing another recap review show for the lost episodes of WOW Women of Wrestling. And then we'll be live Wednesday night after Dynamite goes off the air. So a lot of fun shows that's going to be coming your way all this week. I'm looking forward to it. I was telling wifey the other day about the one guy that we had pop up in the chat, and he was talking about the whole swallowing and all that. If you guys were with me during the post show, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. And the first thing wifey had said to me was, man, if that was the only thing that that person had to say in regards to your pretty much overall presentation and what you were doing on the shows, take that as a compliment, because you've made leaps and bounds of such great improvement since you first started doing this whole thing some 10 plus years ago. The fact that that was the only thing that that person had to, and she reminded me, she said, you got to remember, some of these people, not everybody is listening on their desktop with their speakers and all that. Some people are listening with their AirPods, and she's like, you know, because you got AirPod Pros, you know how that sound is pretty rich and pretty enhanced and everything, so it's going to pick up the least littlest thing. I said, didn't really think about it like that, but yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I just had to share that with you guys, because I remember we were having fun just kind of going back and forth on that guy for a little bit. It was nothing but all love, but I'm sure I unfortunately ran him off, and he just was and all that good shit. Let's stick a fork in it. Let's call it DONE done. We're at about 2 hours and 10 minutes of a show, and yeah, let's call it, man. So look, you enjoyed this episode, you made it up to this point, be it live or you're checking it out for on demand and or soon on the downloads. Show the ultimate support, especially since it's free, and hit that like button. When you hit that like button, helps out a ton, especially via YouTube. It definitely helps on YouTube as far as reaching out to a more wider audience. Feel free to subscribe as well, so you don't miss out on future content that comes your way on a weekly basis, right? Definitely hit that subscribe button. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until Tuesday and Wednesday shows, I am wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. Thanks for supporting the show. As always, FYI, I was taking a look at the numbers for the month of January, and usually January, from previous years, January, particularly for the show on demand and the downloads, I'm talking about for my audio listeners, normally we get pretty crap numbers for January. I looked at the numbers for January of 2022 and I compared it to January 2021, and we basically, my God, like 7 times the numbers compared to what we did in January 2021. So we're continuing to, right? So y'all just keep doing your thing, representing, showing the love, showing the support. I'll definitely keep doing my thing and bringing the content to you guys. All right. So that's going to do it. Be safe, be kind to one another, y'all, and I will catch you all next go.